Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into this single epic chapter that just swings from a massive heavenly celebration all the way to a final, decisive cosmic battle. So let's break down this vision of the heavenly warrior's triumph.
So, what's really interesting is that our story doesn't kick off with a battle. Nope, it starts with a sound, a massive roaring crowd celebrating in heaven. The text calls it a great multitude, a sound so huge you can almost feel it.
All right, so this first scene, it's basically a giant victory party in the sky. You've got this crowd shouting hallelujah, and it's because this big-time symbolic enemy called the Great Prostitute has finally been judged. Now, that figure usually stands for all the corrupt systems and powers down here on Earth. So this isn't some quiet, polite applause, you know? It's this explosive public declaration that justice has been served.
And you know, the reasons they're cheering are laid out super specifically. It's not just, yay, the bad guy's gone. It's that divine justice is seen as, and I'm quoting here, true and just. This whole moment is about vindication for the good guys and a final, permanent end to all that corrupting influence. Okay, then the celebration gets even bigger. You have the 24 elders and the 4 living creatures. These are major figures, kind of representing all of creation and humanity around the divine throne, and they join in. This just goes to show it's not some random party. The entire heavenly court is on board, stamping their approval on this judgment. It really underlines how big of a deal this is.
And then, whoa, the sound just swells. It gets even louder. It's described as the roar of rushing waters and loud peals of thunder. You can feel the energy building, right? The focus is actually shifting from a victory that just happened to a celebration that's about to kick off. And here's why all that thunderous praise is happening. It's an announcement for the wedding of the Lamb. Now, the Lamb is the central sacrificial figure in the whole narrative, and this wedding, it symbolizes this moment of ultimate union, of pure joy and celebration. It's a total pivot from the judgment theme we just saw.
This is where we get a really fascinating layer of symbolism. Check this out. The bride's wedding dress is described as fine linen, bright and clean. But it's not just a piece of clothing. The text flat out tells us it stands for the righteous acts of God's people. How cool is that? It means her being ready for the wedding is a direct result of their collective actions and their faithfulness.
So the scene wraps up with an angel basically saying, hey, if you get invited to this wedding supper, you are profoundly blessed. But just as we're all settling into this happy, celebratory mood, the entire vision takes a dramatic turn.
Seriously, just as we're getting ready for a wedding, the whole scene just pivots. It goes from celebration right back to preparing for a fight. Heaven itself opens up, and this powerful new figure appears. The whole tone just changes on a dime.
And this warrior, he's introduced with this whole collection of powerful, symbolic titles. He's called faithful and true. He's got eyes like blazing fire. He's not just some soldier. He literally embodies truth and righteous judgment. And this is critical. His weapon isn't a physical sword in his hand. It's a sharp sword coming right out of his mouth. That tells you his ultimate power isn't in fighting. It's in his divine word.
And then finally, he's got a name written on his robe and his thigh that is just the ultimate declaration of authority, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I mean, back in the ancient world, that was a title only the most powerful emperors would dare to claim. So here it signifies supreme, unrivaled power. There's just no room for debate.
So as this warrior and his army show up, a completely different kind of invitation is made. And it creates this stark, kind of grim contrast to that beautiful wedding feast we just heard about. You've got an angel standing in the sun making this huge public announcement.
But this invitation, it's not for people. It's for every bird flying in the sky. They're being summoned to this gruesome feast, the Great Supper of God, where the main course is going to be the flesh of the armies defeated in the battle that's about to happen. It's this chilling prophecy of total, absolute annihilation. So what this does is set up this incredibly powerful contrast. The chapter deliberately gives us 2 great suppers. On one hand, you have the wedding supper, which is all about life, holiness, and union. And on the other, you have this supper for the birds, which is all about death, judgment, and the aftermath of a total beatdown. And what's wild is that both are presented with the same level of gravity.
Okay, here we go. The story is hitting its climax. The armies of the earth are gathering for the final showdown, and they're led by this figure known as the Beast. He's the main antagonist, the ultimate opposition to the divine.
This is the moment the entire narrative has been building towards. But here's the crazy part. The battle itself is shockingly fast. As soon as the armies gather, there's no long, drawn-out struggle. The leaders, the beast and his so-called false prophet, they're captured immediately. Just like that. Their judgment is instant. They get thrown alive into a fiery lake. And the final blow to their armies? It doesn't even come from a conventional fight. It comes from the sword of the rider's mouth, his word.
And remember that great supper for the birds? Well, this final stark line reveals that the prophecy was completely and gruesomely fulfilled. It's the final punctuation on a total, absolute victory.
And that's how the chapter ends. It swings from the highest of highs in celebration to the most absolute judgment, painting this picture of a total and final victory. So the question it kind of leaves us with is this. What's the lasting impact of an end that is so definitive, so complete, that there's simply nothing left to fight?